listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
Hello. Welcome to another edition of the Narrative Podcast. The Narrative Podcast is the home of original people peace, original people reciprocity, and original people positivity. And I am your host, Halsey Allen. Welcome to the Narrative Podcast. Welcome all my narrators. The Narrative Podcast promotes positive self-images about original people and original people culture. Welcome to the Narrative Podcast. As you can see, I'm trying to fine-tune my intros. So you got a pretty good idea what the podcast is about upon listening after my musical intro. But welcome to the Narrative Podcast. Welcome all my narrators. It is, hump day. We made it over the hump. Weekend's right around the corner. Everything's swell and dandy in my neck of the woods. Beautiful day out. Got a lot accomplished today. I pray you did out there in podcast land, doing something positive, doing something productive. But yeah, hope all is right with you in the world, in your world. So, my narrators, they're my regular listening audience, the people that tune in on a regular basis. They already know what the Narrative Podcast is about and what type of content I will be delivering to you this evening. But for everyone else unfamiliar with me or my platform, I start things off with walking you through a brief overview of the Narrative Podcast before diving into the content. So one disclaimer I want to put out off the rip is I broadcast approximately 2 times during the week, once during the weekday, once during the weekend. But if you joined me last week, that's about to change. Moving forward, it probably won't be, obviously won't be this week, but moving forward, I plan to do weekly uploads of the Narrative Podcast whenever I get a free moment in. And the reason why I'm doing that is to just really push my mission statement, which is delivering positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, because, it's just getting really ridiculous on the internet, all this negativity floating around. Like we're the first things to hop on a negative trend. Like every time we see somebody breaking bad in the media, we hop on the bandwagon. And what I'm trying to do is promote positivity, uplift and edify our people. So I try to keep my space a gossip-free zone and devoid of negativity. So I know it's impossible to be 110% positive all the time, because positivity cannot exist without negativity. So, this is a platform where I'm trying to be perfect, but definitely I'm trying to normalize being normal. And there's a whole lot of dysfunction and toxicity going around in our community on a daily basis. And unfortunately, we're the ones that help generate it. So I'm trying to spark that movement to, wake my audience up, wake listeners up everywhere, to bring awareness of why it's important to share positive content and, try to normalize that. But more about that later on. Discuss that more in depth and in detail later on in the podcast. So first, get things started with the synopsis of the Narrator podcast, and then I'm going to dive right on into the content for this evening. On my weekly upload of the Narrator podcast. Now, there are thousands of podcasts out there titled the Narrator podcast, but the only one worthy of the title was my series, hosted by me, Halzie Allen, the Narrator podcast. Like, mine's the only one that matters, and you will find out very soon why. So anyway, jumping right on into it. Let's start at the top. Tippy, the name, the Narrator podcast. I named my podcast the Narrator podcast because I don't like the false narrative that the media weaves about original people and original people culture. I get to the original people part a little bit later, but so what I want to do to counter that is design a platform where I'm uplifting and edifying my people and my culture by sharing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. And I think that's my perfect segue for my tagline. The Narrator podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original people culture. How do I destroy these negative stereotypes about our people and our culture? By providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. So that's the entire point of the Narrator podcast, is to encourage listeners, my people, and the original people, to bring awareness of why it's important to responsibly utilize our platforms to put out positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, and to encourage everybody else that listens to my platform to do the same. Now, next up, my listening audience. I call my target listening audience my narrators. And the reason why I call my target listening audience my narrators, because we're living in the digital information age. We share everything online. And so whatever, media platform, digital media platform you occupy, they usually have, a wall where you can post content, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, whatever you're active on. They have a method in which, you can tell your story. So tell or narrate your updated status, whatever's going on in your life or whatever's going on in your world. So, that's where I get my narrators, because, everybody's using this digital space to tell their own story or narrate their own story. So you can read somebody's status updates, and you kind of get a sense of who they are as a person, their political views, their religious and spiritual background, their family structure, their views on family, friendship, values, and everything else can be correlated based on what you're posting online. So everybody tells or narrates their own story. So that's why I call my target listening audience my narrators. So the reason why we would want to narrate our own stories is because the media, intentionally misrepresents our people, putting out false information and, steering the narrative in a negative way in regards to our people. In regards to our people and our culture, by intentionally misappropriating our images and our likenesses to promote and push their agenda. And what is their agenda is, ignorance, degeneracy, and toxicity. And they want to make our people the face of that. They primarily do it to, of course, make money, because out of everybody in this entire world, our people are the most influential, the most interesting. Anything we do is, news and noteworthy, like anything. Like the most trivial thing that our people engage in will somehow, find a way to go viral. And it's the media's job as, business people to capitalize off that. But, like everything, the media, even before like computers was around, even before the internet, even before television and radio, like negativity has always sold. It's always been a cash cow to us, spread something negative to garner money. So, of course, they're going to, focus the lens on all the negative things that happen in our community and all the negative things about our people, like all these negative stigmas and stereotypes. They want to push and promote that and magnify that to sell news. But another reason why they do that is because the media is ran by the powers that be. Who are the powers that be? They're upper society, higher echelon, aka, wealthy, white socialists, socialites, or whatever, however you pronounce it. Capitalists, if you want to call them. But, they had a horrible, wicked agenda. They want to maintain their social status in the world. They want to be the symbol of sophistication, refinement, culture, and elegance. And they want to maintain this image by making everybody else look degenerate, next to them. They want to be pristine. They want to be cultured. They want to be refined, elegant, and all the other, pseudonyms and adjectives you want to describe them people with, that class of people with. They want to be the face of that. So in order to do that, they have to, create a false narrative about everybody else. They have to make everybody else look, unrefined, uneducated, amoral, and just a complete, waste of space when you compare them to anybody else. Like, they want to be, the face of financial wealth, everything. This is like what you want to aspire to be. They want to, project that image like, it's a must that you must have, a mansion at some point in your life. It's a must that you have, create a dynasty and be like, in the exclusive elite crowd. This is the image that they want to promote. And like I said, they do that to everybody. They do that to everybody that's not wealthy or everybody that's not white. They do it to Asians. They do it to Spanish culture. They do it to Italians. They do it to, other people from different parts of Europe. But they primarily do it to our people the most. And the reason why they pick on our people the most is because they fear our people the most, because they're highly intelligent. They are aware of their history and they're aware of our history. And they know that without us, they never could have existed. So, they hate being reminded of the past. We are a reminder of the past. We threaten their entire existence, their entire way of life, because our people are the most influential people on the planet. we set the precedent and the trend for everything that is, cool, popular, trending, hip, or whatever. Everything has to come through us eventually, and they know that. And the scariest part to them is that we'll wake people up, because we are, as original people, we're natural people. We're connected directly to nature and a whole lot of things, especially, here in America, that is normalized to be quote unquote considered financial wealthy isn't necessary. Like, you don't have to have a big giant mansion. You don't have to have in the state with the east and the west wing. You don't have to have a 5-car garage or a house so big you can put a helicopter on top of it. You don't have to have your own private jet. You don't have to just be, pay exorbitant fees to be, frequent 5-star restaurants and 5-star hotels. In life, you should be all right with having sufficient means, a roof over your head, clothing, food in your stomach. The best things in life are free. Like, food is free. You can grow your own food. Like, you don't have to buy a $5,000 shirt just because you have $5,000. You don't have to buy a $1,200 pair of pants just because you have $1,200. You don't have to buy a $100,000 car just because you have $100,000. And they know that, and that scares them. That we'll wake the rest of the world up to come around to our logic, because they're just living like really insane. So we threaten, their whole everything that they believe in, all that, the capitalistic, idealistic things they hold dear. We are a direct threat to that, and that's why they target us the most. That's why they use the media to try to make us appear low in intelligence and degenerate in nature. So, but like I said, that's why I call my target listening audience my narrators, so we can tell our own stories. Because if history hasn't taught us anything, it's taught us this: if you don't tell your own story will be told for you. And the story that the media, who is controlled by the upper echelon, the higher elite society, is telling our story as original people from the perspective of degeneracy, from the perspective of being disenfranchised, being lost, having no added value, bringing no added value to the human experience, just being a drain on the resources. This is the false narrative that they're trying to generate about our people and our culture. So yeah, that's why I call my target listening audience my narrators. And as a narrator, it's our, your mission to do like what I'm doing is to share positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. Now, sharing the positive frames of reference, I don't want you to get it confused. We're not trying to seek validation from people outside of our culture. We don't care what they think about us. You can't change a made-up mind. However they perceive us as, that's just how they perceive us as. So that's not the intent of this podcast, is to change up made-up minds. The intent of this podcast is not to enlighten people outside of our culture. The purpose of this podcast is to accurately tell our story as original people. And what is the accurate way to tell our story? To tell it from the perspective of our true nature. And what is our true nature? Who are we truly? We're kings and queens, gods and goddesses of the universe. And that's how we should always be represented in all things, in all mediums. That's how we should be represented in television, in movies, in books, in magazines, in commercial advertisements, That's how we should always be portrayed, not as, hoodlums and thugs and gangbangers, pimps, whores, thoughts. None of that. Junkies, dealers, we should not be portrayed in that image and likeness. Although those things are prevalent in our community, that's the very bottom of our community. Next order of business, I refer to our people as original people here on this platform. And reason being is because for two reasons. One is the historical accuracy, and then the second reason is unity. So I refer to our people as original people on the historical side of it, because historically we were and are the original people of this, earth, planet, whatever you call yourself believing in. For those that believe in flat earth, like this plane, this dimension, this Kai, whatever you call yourself believing in. But we were here first. There's all kind of scientific evidence. And also, as original people being here first, before, thousands of years before every other civilization, we also pretty much invented every single thing in the world. You can trace it back to us. Whatever invention you can think of, you can find it in some time period that we was already doing it, because that's just how highly civilized we always were, and how highly advanced we always were. And so, to set a false narrative straight, we was always highly civilized, always highly intelligent, always highly advanced. We didn't evolve from monkeys. We weren't dwelling in caves. We never had prehistoric weapons or prehistoric tools. Everything was always highly sophisticated on our end. We was always, our physical stature, we stood erect, standing up straight. We wasn't hunched over. We didn't have a cranial overbite. We wasn't dwelling in caves. We was never covered in excessive body hair. We was always highly advanced and highly civilized from the very first human to ever be in existence. So the Cro-Magnon, the one covered in hair and grunting and had prehistoric weapons and tools, that was another group of people. That wasn't us. Now, and then another sub-point I want to tack on the historical side of it, being original people, because another false narrative that they just keep on trying to perpetuate, we inhabited every single corner of the world. Every single country you can think of, there was already a group of us already indigenously located there, especially here in the Americas, especially in Mesoamerica. They wanted to keep on trying to perpetuate this image that our existence began with slavery. While slavery was a part of our history, it wasn't the definitive part of our history. That was a very small part of history, something that historically happened. It didn't go on for thousands of years. just logically, do you really think they kept on going to, Africa and like Haiti in the Middle Passage and all them places, transporting slaves to different parts of the world? Does that even really make sense? No, it does not. Like, as far as America goes, like less than 30% of us is from the continent of Africa. The majority of us was already indigenously located here. So like while slavery did happen, they did go to get, slaves and transport them, to America and other parts of Europe, we was already indigenously located everywhere. So like, there's a whole lot of just false information surrounding that. Like, there shouldn't even be like terms like Afro-Latino. It shouldn't be terms like Afro-Cuban and Afro-Latino and Afro-Mexico, Afro-Mexican. Like, the original people was already African, so you don't need to put the Afro part in front of those because we was already there. The original people were darker complected. You understand? They already had African features. So the lighter complected people in places like the DR, PR, Colombia, Brazil, Venezuela, like the lighter complected one, those are the foreigners, like in places like Belize and, even in the Mediterranean, like Greece, Italy. It was the lighter complected people who were the foreigners. Like the darker complected people anywhere in the entire world was the original indigenous native to that, country or continent. We was already there. All the lighter, anything, lighter complected came from somewhere else. Canada too. But I can go on all day about the historical accuracy, about why I refer to our people as original people here on this platform. The second part of why I refer to our people as original people and want to try to encourage everybody that listens to my podcast to do the same is for the unification of our people, because there's many different types of us, hailing from different land masses, speaking different languages, believing, having different spiritual and religious, beliefs, political views. But the one thing that we all possess, we all have in common, is a large concentration of carbon, aka melanin, and we can all trace that back to the original point of origin for every single person on this planet or on this plane or here in this world. We can all trace that back to the original source. Therefore, we're original people. And we can argue and debate about, who gets the reparations later. But for right now, we got to view each other the way the rest of the world views us. Everybody outside of our culture, they just call us black. They don't care about you being from Ghana. They don't care about you being from Jamaica or Trinidad or Antigua or, the Bahamas or like, Colombia, Venezuela. They don't care about you being from Germany, Canada, or, wherever you're from. If you have melanin, they don't care about that. They're going to look at you and say, you're black. So that's what we got to start doing as a people. Start, just unifying us, whatever we refer to ourselves as, from the islands, from Africa, FBA, whatever you want to call yourself, you're an original person. Like, you can refer to yourself, on your own time, whatever you want to, whatever you're comfortable calling yourself, an African American, an FBA, Congolese, a Nigerian, Haitian, an Afro this, an Afro that. But at the end of the day, we're all original. Next part, some more misnomers about the Narrator podcast. This is a positive space. I don't dwell on negativity. I don't try to push or promote gossip. This space that I'm creating here is all positive. The mission statement is to uplift and edify my people by providing positive frames of reference and encourage all my listeners to, bring awareness to all my listeners to responsibly utilize their platforms to do the same, to put out positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, so I don't, engage in gossip and slander and name calling and, dragging brothers and sisters through the mud on social media. This isn't a place where I've, to feed into the hype, into the media hype about whatever negatives going on in our community. This is a space where, we're trying to be positive, trying to put out positive news, positive things happening within our community, news about people bringing about change in our community, and, just promoting positivity. So, as a matter of fact, I also want to be known, like if I ever bring up a brother's or sister's name who just happens to be a celebrity, it's never to slander them or gossip or talk bad about them. It's really just to use them as a vehicle to a point that I'm trying to prove when I deliver commentary, because I also, deliver commentary on social issues, whatever's happening in the world, whether it's something specifically within our community or something nationally or something globally, as it relates to us, as it pertains to us, what does that mean to us as a people? I'm using them as a vehicle to just illustrate a point that I'm trying to make, and all the points that I try to make here, on this platform is, yes, we have our in-house issues that we need to work on, but for the main thing is, all the negative things that we do in our community, we've been programmed and conditioned by the powers that be to behave in that manner, to act in that manner. Like, we've been psychologically programmed and conditioned, to act out violently, to live that lifestyle, because they keep on perpetuating these negative stereotypes and stigmas and promoting the negativity and incentivizing negative behavior, like putting money, like giving people money, large amounts of money to act like a damn fool in movies, online, and, rewarding people for being degenerate and conducting themselves in an amoral type way. So that's the perspective that I try to unpack it on, because, like, me personally, I'm really sick and tired of every time something negative happens in our community, we always volunteer, well, we have to do better as a people. Like, all the time, that's our go-to. Anytime something negative happens within our community, we have to do better. We have to do better. The people that's literally had everything done to us, had everything stolen from us, we have to do better. But the only reason why we're doing negative things to begin with, because we've been programmed and conditioned to do the negative things. So that's the perspective that I always try to, focus the lens through. So if I ever use a famous person's name, it's from that perspective. Not to clout chase or insert my name into a conversation on a hot trending topic for CPMs and clicks and all that. Next order of business. This is a time-sensitive platform. I try not to exceed 1 hour per upload on this platform because it's an all-audio platform, and the last thing I want to do is bore my listening audience to sleep. I want my listening audience attentive. I want to make this entertaining and lighthearted, but also practical and applicable. And I can't do that if I'm boring you to sleep. So I try to, keep it fresh, keep it innovative, keep it concise, short and to the point, So I'm not just droning on and on and on and going on a glorified rant. I think I covered just about everything. One more little misnomer. I want to kind of backtrack a bit as to why I'm doing this podcast, which goes around with trying to change the narrative. Because like I said about the media, they're ran by a horrible, wicked organization, but at the core of it is also business. So what I'm attempting to do here in this space is trying to normalize being normal. And the only way you can normalize being normal is to upload normal content, meaning, like a normal family structure, normal values, community values, normal financial principles. All that's normal to live life and life more abundantly. What's not normal is the degeneracy and the toxicity that the media has brainwashed us into living out. Selling drugs where you live, that's not normal. But that's something that normally happens within our community. That's not normal, but they've normalized it, you understand? Our women to walk around always half naked, dropping it low to the floor every time they hear a beat. That's not normal, but they've normalized it. You understand? Our children being disrespectful, cursing out their elders, publicly doing drugs, just walking around doing drugs in public. That's not normal, but they've normalized it. So we got to take our power back and normalize being normal. Because like I said, it's ran by a horrible, wicked organization, but at the core of it is business. And what's business? It's supply and demand. So as long as we create the market for degeneracy and toxicity, they'll keep on creating the product of degeneracy and toxicity and keep on selling it to us. But how we change that narrative is by flipping the narrative, posting stories about the way we want to be portrayed, how we want to be perceived, posting intellectual content, posting content that has to do with family structure, posting content that has to do with community involvement, us doing positive things for our children, positive things for our elderly, positive things for anyone disenfranchised or in need of anything in our community, us taking care of ourselves. moving and navigating through life with a sense of urgency. But if, and then the powers that be, they'll create more content geared towards that. But as long as we keep on supporting the foolishness, they're going to keep on coming with these television shows and movies and books and music, using our images and our likenesses in a negative way, all in the name of entertainment. So it's up to us to flip the narrative. So that's the last thing the last misnomer I wanted you to know about the Narrator podcast. Anything I may have missed entirely or glazed over, I'm well over 300 episodes in, so you can just tune into the Narrator podcast wherever you get your podcast information. Just remember to download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrator podcast wherever you hear it. And make sure it's the Narrative podcast hosted by me, Halzie Allen. Like I said, there are like thousands of podcasts titled the Narrative podcast, but mine's the only one with sustenance. Mine is the only one that actually matters. So make sure, you're a part of the movement, the changing the narrative movement, the narrator movement. So narrator, not to be confused with moderator. A moderator is somebody that, moderates people's YouTube channels and social media platforms to make sure there's no trolls causing confusion. That's a moderator. A narrator is somebody that puts out positive frames of information about original people and original culture. So be a part of the narrator movement. Download this episode of the Narrative podcast and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative podcast wherever you get your podcast information from. So now that I got everything out the way, diving in for my weekday edition of the Narrative podcast. Buckle up, here we go. So, on my weekday uploads of the Narrative podcast, what I tend to do for the positive frames of reference that I share come in the forms of news articles. And the reason why I share positive news articles is because we're constantly being bombarded with negativity 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, especially right now, because unless you've been living under a rock, every single platform on the internet, every single news and media platform are all talking about diddy, 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 diddy. And, like I said, I already gave my spiel on it. But how we change that narrative, just talking about anything negative in general, is to, push positivity towards the front. And then people will focus more on the positive instead of the negative. Because, like I said, the media has programmed and conditioned us to, and incentivized us to focus on negative things. So how we can change that narrative is by focusing and promoting positive news. And that's the purpose of my weekday episodes of the Narrative podcast, is to promote positive news, showing that positive things do happen in our community. We do triumph in the face of adversity. There are people within our community bringing about change and trying to usher in a more positive life for our people without being dependent on the government, without, stealing and doing immoral and undecent things to, live an opulent life. So here we go with my first article of the evening on my weekday edition of the Narrative podcast. First article of the evening, the headline reads, 16-year-old black teen with 3 degrees becomes the youngest full-time teacher in America. And the sister's name is Shania Muhammad, 16 years old, Oklahoma City resident. She has a bachelor's in early child development and 2 associate's degrees. You know, we got to give her a Narrative Podcast round of applause. All praises due. Yes. So that sister is a Muslim. Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar for her. So goal-driven at 16 years old and is now a formal educator. And a point that I always stress on this platform is we as a people, we need our own institutions. We need our own grade schools, middle schools, high schools, traditional 4-year colleges, community colleges, vocational skills, training facilities, tech institutions, because, the powers that be, they're not going to train us right. Not to say you can't, get a quality education from a mixed, academic background or a predominantly white institution, but the likelihood of you succeeding will triple if you attend an institution where the people look like you. Because we have an unspoken bond. They're going to teach whatever subject, they're going to talk your language. They're going to make sure that you fully grasp the material. And they already know, from their own personal experience, what's ahead of us and what's before us. So they're going to go out of their way and do everything within their power to relate to you. So that's why we need our own institutions. And so it's not taking a step backwards, because we already had our own institutions before we integrated, like before we integrated into mainstream. But, in the integration process, we lost our own businesses, we lost our own communities. Original people here in America, we're the only people that don't have our own nothing. There's a little everything, like a little Italy, a little, China, a little Lebanon, a little whatever nationality. They got a little neighborhood, and all their money stays in that community, while we, the people that built this country, have nothing. But I digress. Congratulations to that sister. And now she has the tools to, ensure people that look like her get a running start and fortify them with everything they need to survive in the world. So join me in the giving our sister Shania Muhammad a warm narrative podcast round of applause for her academic accomplishments. All right, second article here on the Narrative Podcast, weekday edition. The headline reads, Black-owned bank in Illinois receives $17 million from state reparations fund. Now, this state, the reparations fund originated from a bank called Evanston's Bank, which, received a federal grant for reparations, and in the form of the reparations, they decided to partner up with a black-owned bank called Liberty Bank, which was the first black-owned bank in the city of Evanston in Illinois. So like they established the first this is their first actual form of reparations. So you see, for all the naysayers that say, I don't know why we keep on doing all these demonstrations and rallies, petitioning and lobbying for reparations, because they ain't never going to give it to us. If you stay consistent, you will get it. So this is already the first incarnation of reparations. This is living proof that we're going to get it if we stay consistent with it, because like with all due respect, as a people, we haven't been consistent with demanding something that's owed to us. And we all deserve it because, all the money from slavery is, what's holding this country together right now. All the financial institutions that's dominant in America, Wells Fargo, Chase Bank, Casey's General Store, Louisiana Iced Tea, Lipton, Louisiana, they're kind of the same family. SC Johnson Wax, I can keep going on all day. All the institutions that, derived all their financial wealth from slavery. They still exist today. They're still prevalent today. Every single gold brick in the National Reserve rightfully belongs to original people, because we wouldn't have it if it wasn't for us. But this right here is the first incarnation of the reparations original people deserves. So we have to keep consistent with it. We have to keep on petitioning our local and state representatives. We have to keep pushing the line and keep demanding what is owed to us, and we will slowly get it. Now, the quicker path, is to do your research, do your due diligence, because there's been a record number of people that have petitioned their states to get their individual reparation, has proved their lineage to their state, that they were a descendant of a slave and have gotten individual reparations. So a quicker path to it is just to get your own individual reparations. But, as a people, it's not too late. It's not, in folly. We're not just wasting our time. So you see this is the first incarnation of it. This bank has donated $17 million to the Liberty Bank in Illinois, which was the first, black-owned bank in the city of Evanston. And Robin Rue Simmons is the chair of the Evanston's Reparations Committee, and that's the person that donated it to Liberty Bank. So here's a skinny on it. It was approved in April, so this year of 24. I didn't find out, the article didn't say what exact day, but it just happened this month. To be eligible for reparations program, you must be proved that, you've been a resident of that city between the years of 1919 to 1969, or a direct descendant of those affected by the housing discrimination for those eras from 1919 to 1969. If you have a grandfather, great-great-grandfather, grandmother, somebody that was a victim of housing discrimination, you will be, eligible to receive reparations, and the reparations go to, original people that own and operate their own business. So like if you already have your own small business in that area, you will get it. If you want to start your own business, you will get it. Or if you're trying to buy a house, you will get it. If you already own your own house, you will get it. Or if you're trying to buy a house, you will get it. But you have to live in Illinois, in Evanston, but that's still noteworthy because that's living proof that, pursuing reparations we're not in total vain. We're not, we're not just hoping for something that's never going to happen, because that is the first incarnation of it. So if people in that area get their reparations and do right with it, this is set, a chain reaction all over the nation, and other states will start, unveiling a form of reparations. And in my opinion, if they're not going to just give us some money, what they need to do is, free education for those that want to go to college, or for those that already went to college, alleviate that debt. Cancel it completely out. If you want to go to school, free education. If you already went to school, cancel out that student loan debt, and then you can go back and just for the rest of your life, if you want to be a full-time student for the rest of your life, so be it. As long as you're doing something productive, or you're trying to start your own business, you get it, some form of it. If you, if you're renting, your rent should be free. If you're in public housing, in the projects or public housing, that should be free. If if you're a first-time homeowner, that should be free. You should automatically get a house, without having to do a credit check and all that. If you have the money for it, that should be free. Utilities should be free. If you're not going to just give us a check, but you do owe us. You do owe us. So it's not no loan, it's money owed to us. It ain't no handout, because everybody got it. The Italians got it. The Jews got it. It didn't even happen in America, but they got it twice. They got it from Germany and from our government. It only went on for 5 years. Ours went on for hundreds of years here in America. Japanese got it. They got it from Pearl Harbor. Everybody got reparations except us. The people that built this country. But like I said, this is the first actual incarnation of what reparations look like. And, we need to get on the ball, find out how they did it, do our due diligence, and get the ball rolling. For all of our states, whatever state that we live in, it is possible to get it. So, as a group or individually, they do owe us, however you want to slice it. Well, let's give a Warm Narrative Podcast round of applause to Evanston Bank LLC and New Liberty Bank in Evanston, Illinois, for the very first reparations fund. All right. Last but certainly not least. Oh, wait a minute. I got a couple more. I'm about to say last one. I know I had a couple more. Yeah, got a couple more. Not quite the last, but next to the last. Okay, so next article, the headline reads, Black founder launches AI-powered financial literacy platform to empower families, schools, and nonprofits. And the brother's name is Joseph Green. Joseph Green is the founder and CEO of He's the founder and CEO of myphilly.com. So what that is it's a revolutionary tech program that leverages the power of AI to make financial literacy accessible and engaging for families, schools, and nonprofit organizations. Their mission statement is to empower participants to develop a healthy relationship with money. Now, they have a unique approach to doing this that make learning about financial literacy fun and practical by condensing the material into bite-sized interactive lessons that breaks down complex financial concepts like games, quizzes, and other interactive challenges. So basically, they're breaking down the differences between, what's an asset, what's a liability. They're talking about, the stock market, the buzz terms, Havison's finish, the word bank. Did you ever do word banks in school? Like what word goes in the blank? Finish this sentence. They got exercises like that. And then games, like terms and financial terms and stuff and definitions and all that. So it's, from what I seen when I visited the website, it looks pretty engaging. They want to make it engaging and not, not too complex, because that's why a lot of us aren't, financially literate, is because, we haven't had it taught to us in school. We haven't, we don't have any frames of reference for, generational wealth, how to build your credit, banking, they're teaching it, they're stripping down the bare bones, talking about banking, the advantages of a credit union versus a bank, how to become your own bank, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So they're giving out the nuggets. It's up to you, of course, as a participant, to apply the knowledge that they're putting out. It'll behoove you because the first 7 days of it is free. And then after that, they charge you a fee, of course. But it's up to the individual, like anything in life. It's up to you for how hungry you are to apply the knowledge. Because some people say they want change, but then they don't do, the work that it takes to get the change. So some people just be talking. So if you join a program like that, your success rate is entirely on you. But, he's putting out the resources using this AI technology to help teach you about financial literacy. It's definitely worth checking out. So you can go to myphilly.com, and that's capital MY, capital capital L-I dot C-O-M. That's the platform. You click on that, and you will see, what the course is, what all he offers, his packages and whatever. So that's how you enroll in the course. But if you have, like me, if you're inquisitive, you want to ask specific questions before you, sign up for something, like be fully aware to make an informed choice. Is that for you, your learning style, or your time, or whatever you're planning to do with it? You can hit the link for direct questions about the program to press@myphilly.com, and again, capital MYFILI.com. So go check that out. If you want to, get in on this AI software and, have a front row seat and learn something that can change your life forever financially, at myphilly.com, and join me into giving our brother Joseph Green a warm narrative podcast round of applause for his, course that he's teaching about how to build generational wealth and how to become financially independent. All right, here we go, moving right along. Next article, the headline reads, Black motivational speaker raised by a single mom now addresses thousands at HBCUs. And the brother's name is Coach Travis Johnson. Travis is one of America's leading motivational speakers. He has over 1 million followers on every single platform you can think of. He speaks on the upwards of 10,000 people or more a year. He also has helped raise millions of dollars in scholarship funds for HBCUs. And he's most recently released a motivational quote journal and calendar designed to inspire individuals to greatness. The name of the book is called Get Coached Up. It's a pocket journal. It's a pocket journal slash quote motivator. So basically, like it's a calendar with inspirational, motivational quotes for every single day, all through the months of the year. They get you super fired up, get you super amped up and excited. And again, that's really kind of hitting close to home. What I'm trying to do here on the Narrator podcast is to get my listening audience fired up, to make them want to share and put out positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. But you need that positivity. You need to absorb something positive in your life every day. If you're constantly being bombarded with negativity in a negative environment, of course, you'll produce the fruits of negativity. Of course, you will have, a short temper. Of course, you eventually, do something violent. If you're constantly seeing something violent and constantly exposed to something violent, of course you'll engage in lewd, degenerate acts. If you're constantly seeing lewd, degenerate acts, But if you're seeing positivity, speaking positivity over your circumstances, seeing examples of people rising above their environment, being leaders, being motivated, navigating through life with a sense of urgency, that's going to make you want to step up and, reach for the stars to achieve greatness. So like as the old saying goes, if you hang around nothing but millionaires, if you hang around like 4 millionaires, you want to be the 5th one. So like you got to put yourself in the surroundings to achieve greatness. And so you got to like bring positivity into your space, into your circumference. And, then when you create a positive space around you, you exude it, you are magnetically attracted. But, that's the agenda with this media. That's why they keep on putting out all this negativity, all these negative frames of reference about our people and our culture. But with this program, what he's doing, he's trying to motivate, trying to inspire, trying to uplift and edify you through motivational speeches, through positive self-talk. So, that's what he's promoting and pushing. And that's what you would want to have in your life. So to find out more about him, his life story, because he was raised by a single, coming from the slums, raised by a single parent. You can go check his life story out at travisjohnson.com. For press inquiries, contact Lindsay at tapwriting.com. Excuse me, got a little tongue-tied. All right, so let's give it a Warm Narrative Podcast round of applause to our brother, motivational speaker extraordinary, Mr. Travis Johnson. All right, moving right along. This is the last article for this evening, this week here on the Narrative Podcast. And the headline reads, 16-year-old black author releases children's book teaching young people to always believe in themselves. And the young sister's name is Alicia M. Felder of Detroit, Michigan. And the name of the book is Don't Count Me Out. It's an autobiographical book about, her journey as a soccer player. She received a whole lot of criticism and bullying, I guess you want to call it. So they basically said, she didn't have the stature to be quote unquote good soccer player, let alone a great one. They said she was too short and too thin, and then also because she was black, and there's not a lot of black soccer players, but which is totally false, because like all, the great players come from places like Brazil, and the original people that inhabit Brazil are what? Who are they? They're original people. But anyway, that's a false narrative. The ones who dominate the cup is usually like Brazil or somewhere in Africa or, Jamaica, Haiti. Those are the people that usually dominate in soccer. Some Latin-speaking country, and all the original inhabitants of them are original people, our people. But anyway, but short-sighted, narrow-minded people, if she would have listened to them, she wouldn't have believed in her dream. She rose to greatness. She became Michigan's #1 highest scoring girl in the sport of soccer, and she had the most goals that year that she played in all the whole state of Michigan. Her book is available on Amazon and on online at Noble bookstores or Amazon or Noble, whichever one you want to do. And if you want more information about, her background, her life story, and what she got going on currently, you can go to info@mypreciousapple.com. She got some music too, I think she's singing and rapping. She got some YouTube. Just, type her name in the browser, Alicia M. Felder, and then type soccer, and all her stuff should pop up on YouTube. But definitely join me into giving this young sister a round of applause for her unwillingness to give up on her dream, and for her book, Don't Count Me Out, which is a good, philosophical way to look at life. Don't ever count yourself out. So join me into giving our sister Alicia M. Felder a warm narrative podcast round of applause for accomplishment in soccer and for her book, Don't Count Me Out. All right. So that was it. That was all my positive news articles I had this evening. Now I'm going into my speaking point. And my speaking point is just really commentary. And the reason why I deliver commentary is basically, like I said, to combat the false images and false narrative that the media weaves about original people and original people culture, by just basically building a platform where whatever's happening on in the world, I'm unpacking it from our perspective, telling our story, because like I said earlier, if you don't tell your story will be told for you. So that's why I usually do, talk about current issues, to tell our story, because the media will go out of its way to have us all looking and sounding, all kinds of crazy. Like they have us just looking ignorant and crazy about, whatever. So usually I go and talk about something, that's happening in this section, specifically within our community, something in the world, or something, I feel we should focus our attentions on. In the rare instances where I don't have anything like that to talk about, what I usually do is just talk to the audience about something that's on my mind, something I feel we need to work on as a people. And by we, I mean me, and in many cases, me especially. But and I think it might be one of those nights. There's nothing really pressing going on in the media other than like gossip, celebrity gossip, and I don't want to talk about that. So, I got some stuff that I want to talk about. Microphone check 1, check 2. All right. I don't know what happened, but I'm back because I wasn't recording for a second. My recording lights wasn't going off. But anyway, so like I said, I'm going to be delivering some commentary tonight. The purpose of me delivering commentary is basically to just tell our story from our perspectives, because the media will go out of their way to have us looking and sounding crazy. So I kind of got one thing that I want to briefly touch on, something anew that I believe we should focus on, and then something else just I'm personally having a problem with that I feel concerns all our people. But let me get on into it for the new emerging technology, a new way for our government to take away our independent thought. This is a brand new invention, something that has just recently came out. The U.S. Patent and Trademark has released a statement about advanced sensor system technology. And this is a system that Apple has patented and trademarked that's out. So if they just got the trademark approved, the technology, they've been experimenting on it for years. For those that listen to the Narrator podcast, in the past, I've always said something about remote viewing. This is like something the elite society practice. Remote viewing, this is like when you project your thoughts and see inside other people's minds. This isn't crazy. This is something that really our people developed way back, in ancient Kemetic times, the Nubians and the Kush Empire. Like, we was already next level. The things we were doing in early civilization, we was harnessing kinetic energy, using our, the magnetic field our bodies naturally emit. We was harnessing our own biokinetic energy. We was the first people to invent electricity. So, like those ancient statues with the Ankh, we was like, those were the first flashlights. We illuminated the Ankh using our own biokinetic energy. That was way back then. But anyway, catching you up to modern day and this new neuro experiment they're doing with our minds. This is a device in which, the AirPods will pick up the electromagnetic impulses that your brain sends. So essentially, they'll be reading your thoughts with the AirPods, things you're thinking about. So they ain't even got to go through your Google search anymore. They don't even have to go through your Google history anymore. They'll just be picking up on your brainwave activity, what you're thinking about. You see how divisive these people are, how wicked the powers that be, and their logic behind that is just so it will create an enhanced hands-free experience for people with, cell phones. So like you won't have to, text or, you can just keep it in your pocket and just think about what you want to Google, think about, your playlist. In retrospect, you'll be thinking like what you want your device to do. But the double-edged sword is the device, they'll be able to pick up on your brain signals that the AirPods are magnifying. So they'll be able to scientifically read your mind. You understand? They're trying to invade your thought process. And it ain't nothing new under the sun, because they're doing that anyway with your cellular phones, because this is how we're developing all these illnesses and, sicknesses, by staying too close to your device. I know some of y'all is so connected to your phones, like you would have a whole panic attack if you had to leave your house without your phone, or if you lost your phone. You would have a heart attack. In the digital world we're living in, if you're without a phone longer than 24 hours, or, your device breaks, or if you lose it, so you're no longer connected to the world. You understand me? And now they're developing a device that will read and monitor your thoughts. Apple. The good people at Apple. And who runs Apple? Bill Gates was a co-founder of Apple. I think he's the sole owner of Apple now, ain't he? The same Bill Gates buying up all this farmland, genetically modifying and engineering our produce, genetically engineering and modifying our livestock. That Bill Gates, has now signed off for Apple to conduct research to monitor our brain waves, read our thoughts. And then, they're going to be costing these new earbuds is going to be costing like $1,000 a watt, close to $1,000 a pop. And we're, in this consumer society, we're going to go out and buy them because we want to experience the the totally hands-free experience, which is just pure D laziness. Because you already got the earpods, you got the Apple Watch, you got the iPod. Like, how much more, don't you want to do for yourself? You mean we so lazy we don't want to just make physical contact with your device? We want to just use our brain waves to Google stuff, to activate our music playlists. You see how sick our world is becoming? But like the elite society, they practice this. They practice remote viewing. This is how they obtain their financial wealth. So for the small closed-minded, you would say, oh, you spitting that conspiracy theory stuff. But it's not a conspiracy theory. It's a reality. This is just something to think about. They have now harnessed the technology to be able to read your thoughts, so nothing's safe. Any nasty little deviant thing you got on your mind, Uncle Sam can now read your thoughts. Any bright thing you have on your mind, you put your, earpods in, studying, trying to build you a business, something on the positive spectrum. Now they're reading your thoughts, they're going to block you from building your own business, from reaching out into your community, trying to help your people, because they're going to pick up on your brain thoughts and pass some legislation to block you. But it's a real thing. You can do your Googles. It's a patent. Apple got the patent. It basically just amplifies your brain signals to the device. So, in theory, you should be able to think about what you want your device to do. And, the transmitter inside the AirPods will take your electromagnetic brainwave activity and send it to the device to have the device do whatever you think you want it to do, like whatever you wanted to Google, whatever you wanted to play your music, look something up, watch a movie, or whatever you do on your device. But essentially just collect data, a new way to collect data and use said data against you, or market some bullcrap towards you, or implant post-hypnotic suggestions in you. Yeah, just something to think about. That's kind of the new thing I want, us to be aware of and think critically about. The next thing I want to discuss isn't have anything to do with headlines. Nothing particularly going on in the world that I feel like I want to speak about tonight, like far as like headline news. I mean, the legislators legislating, same old stuff, different day as far as CDC is concerned. No pressing legislation happening. No pressing policies happening. Nothing particularly new in our community happening that I feel we need to focus on. But there is a word that I want to focus on tonight. And the word is called equity. A lot of new nonprofit organizations that are starting within our community are, incorporating this word, equity, meaning they're trying to create programs that will provide equal opportunity for us as a people. Equity, like equitable housing, equitable education, equitable vocational skills training programs where, a whole lot of people that look like us aren't necessarily in, and to get us in spaces that aren't, heavily dominated by us. I mean, we dominate everything, but there's not a lot of us in STEM. There's not a lot of us, there's not a lot of homeowners within our community. There's not a lot of business owners in our community. There are, but it's not highly publicized. So one would be led to believe there aren't a lot of business owners within our community. But what I want to focus on the word tonight is equity and equitable and equal. Like all those kind of mean the same thing. And the issue that I'm taking up with that is that do we want equity or do we want fairness? And I believe we just want fairness. I don't believe that shouldn't be the goal for equality at this point. I don't want to be equal at this point. I don't want to be equal to people who create systems to oppress people that look like me. I don't want to be equal to people who don't think there's anything wrong with paying our people reparations. I don't want to be equal to people that believe that all we as a people need to do is work harder and stop complaining. I don't want to be equal to people like that. I just want to be treated fairly. I want my own everything. I don't want to be taxed for things at a higher rate than someone else just because of what I look like. If I do commit a crime, I don't want to be made an example of and get the maximum sentence, while somebody that doesn't look like me will just get, whatever the charge is, the bare minimum of whatever the charge is. So I don't want to be equal to people sold to the knowledge or invested in the ideology and the philosophy that people that look like me are inferior to them. So that word equitable, it carries a lot of weight, and we got to be careful of the way we use that word. Because do you honestly want to be equal to these people that are okay with the way the system is now, that don't see any flaw in the system at all, that doesn't see like why we're complaining, that doesn't acknowledge all the atrocities that our people go through, that doesn't feel any remorse, sympathy, or empathy every time one of our people gets unalived by law enforcement, every time one of our people gets denied an opportunity. I don't want to be equal to people like that. I just want to be treated fairly. And I think that's what we need to focus on. We need to change up that vernacular and stop saying equitable and equal. And I know for the nonprofit organizations, they have to incorporate that to get the funding. And if you have to incorporate that to get the funding, then maybe, you should just try to figure out a way to where you won't need the government grant. Because, we want to create institutions that don't practice equity, and being equal to people that don't view us as their equal. You understand what I'm saying? We need to switch up the speech pattern, because we don't want equity, we want fairness. So that's perfectly fair to say I want to be treated fair, but it's insane to say treat me equally. I don't want to be equal to a murderer. I don't want to be equal to a liar. I don't want to be equal to a bigot. I don't want to be equal to a racist. I don't want to be equal to a narcissist. We don't want to be on equal footing with the oppressor. We just want fairness. So moving forward, let's stop using equal and equity and all that, because that ain't where it's at. We don't want to be equal to the people that don't mean us, mean us ill will. We don't want to be equal to them. We don't want to share the same space. We don't have that same mindset that they have. So we don't want to be equal to people like that. We want to just be treated fairly. So, yeah, let's stop saying equal and equity and all that. Well, that's all I got for this evening. Join me this weekend for a full episode of the Narrative Podcast. Make sure you download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast, where you get your podcast information from. Also, what was I about to say? Yeah, download this episode of the Narrative Podcast wherever you get your podcast information from. Like I said earlier on, moving forward, I'm going to start during the weekday. So you're going to be hearing me like 2 or 3 times during the week moving forward. Like whenever I get some free time, I'm most likely going to do an upload of the Narrative Podcast. But just letting you know, I might not do a commentary section during the weekday for each upload. So, but I definitely plan to be, doing more uploads more frequently throughout the weekday. Every time I get, a free moment to do so, in an effort to, speak more positivity over the airwaves, because we're constantly being bombarded with negativity and getting herded and steered into the direction of promoting negativity and gravitating towards negative content. So I want to try to usher in the movement where we're utilizing our platforms to put out positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. So I'm about to make my presence on this podcast space more pronounced. And, moving forward, I'm going to just broadcast more times during the week. So yeah, to stay up with the latest episode of the Narrator podcast, what you would want to do is follow me either on YouTube or X. Now on YouTube, I'm Halsey Allen on YouTube. And you want to hit my subscribe to my channel, hit the notification, all notifications. So you know the deal. If you're a YouTuber, if you check out YouTube for everything, you know the deal. Got to subscribe. You have to hit your notifications to be notified of that channel that you subscribe to every time new content is uploaded on said channel. And then also follow me on Twitter, or X, formerly Twitter, and check out your notifications there. I'm still not too proficient with X, so I don't know how alerts work. I'm guessing whatever email address you use for your X account, you will get your notifications like that every time a new episode of the Narrator podcast drops on X, formerly known as Twitter. I'm trying to get more proficient, but I'm not proficient as I need to be affluent on X. But, as a content creator, I'm told that's, the basic platform that you have to make people aware of your content or whatever. But mainly those two, because the platform that I'm on currently with this podcast broadcasts directly to YouTube and X. Like right after I'm done uploading my episodes, it goes automatically to YouTube and X. So follow me on any of those two mediums, and you will be notified about the latest installment of the Narrator podcast. And make sure it's the one hosted by me, Halsey Allen, as there are many podcasts out there with the title Narrative. I'm the only one titled the Narrator podcast whose content actually matters, though. So make sure you're following me. Make sure you're downloading my content, Halsey Allen, the Narrative podcast. So the download button is like an arrow pointing downward. So you click on the link where you see the Narrative podcast, and then you will see an arrow pointing down. You want to click that. That's how, all my CPMs and all that for the podcast, you know the deal. Another thing that helps me is the like button. The like button, when you click the link, is the shape of a heart. That works. And then you can also, they got a little box. You can leave me a comment. So if if you want to collab with me or like what I'm doing, you can leave me a little comment. But however you choose to support me, just support me. But the biggest way is to download the episodes of the Narrator podcast. Click that download button. Download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrator podcast. Next order of business. I've written a book titled The Black Card. And the Black Card is available on a platform called Poetizer.com. Poetizer.com is a platform for writers, specifically for those that like to write poetry, but also short stories, journaling, and just writing in general. So that's a platform for writers. And what they have is a feature on there that allows you to turn your post into a book. And that's what I've done on Poetizer, is I've turned my post into a book of poetry. And the name of and where they store their books, they have a virtual online bookstore. And so the name of my book from my post that I converted into the book is called The Black Card. And what The Black Card is a 30-page collection of poetry that is basically a snapshot, an all-encompassing look at us as a people. It captures, our essence as a people, everything that we go through, positive and negative, all the nuances about our culture and about ourselves. It's a survival guide, if you will, a black card, authenticity. It's just like, all the unspoken truths about our essence as a people, everything we go through, positive and negative. So it's charismatic, it's creative. You're definitely guaranteed, if you're an original man or original woman, you're definitely guaranteed to relate to one of those pieces on the black card and know that something, one of those pieces is very indicative of our culture. Something you're definitely, in that book, is going to definitely guaranteed to resonate with you as an original man or as an original woman. People outside of our culture, they can probably find something to resonate with, just lovers of poetry, just to see the artists in it. They can definitely, check that out. But whatever you do, go to Poetizer.com, to their virtual online bookstore, and purchase my book, The Black Card, or get your black card revoked. It'll make a good coffee table read, travel book, a gift if you like, giving gifts. But definitely check it out, immerse yourself with original people culture, and purchase you a copy of The Black Card today. Next order of business, also check out my online, my personal poetry blog on blogger.com, titled hallziespoetrycorner, and the address is www.mrhallziesblogs.com. And my tagline for that poetry blog is Hallzies Poetry Corner, poetry with a passion, poetry for all occasions. When you read one of my poems, you will find out exactly, the true meaning of it, because you're guaranteed to find a piece of poetry that you can relate to. It resonates with everybody. It's not just for our people. Every type of emotion you can think of is in one of my pieces. It deals with subject matter of all kinds, So that poetry blog is for everybody. You're definitely going to, resonate with something, some type of aspect in it. Very creative. And the unique thing about my poetry blog is it's completely spontaneous. All the poems on there are spontaneously written in the moment, but how intricate and detailed each one of them were, by reading it, you would get the impression that I did a draft first before I posted it, and that's just completely not it. All that poetry is completely kinetic. I didn't contemplate anything. I didn't contemplate the subject matter. I didn't contemplate the title of what I was going to call the piece, or any, no words. I ain't thinking of what word rhymes with next word. It's just literally the first thing to pop into my mind. That's how my gift of poetry works. I don't force anything. And so if I got to force it, I don't write it, but I do, when I'm not posting, I'm journaling, I'm writing, I got hundreds of, notebooks of poetry. I post poems in my notepad on my device. I'm always constantly writing poetry, but I don't share all my work on my poetry blog because some stuff I don't want to share. But it's definitely a treat for anybody that likes poetry or looking to get into poetry. You definitely want to find a piece that you connect with, and it's going to resonate with you. So do yourself a tremendous favor. Go to Halsey's Poetry Corner blog on www.mrhalziesblogs on blogger.com. And the way you support my poetry blog is to share the link to Halsey's Poetry Corner, which is www.mrhalziesblogs.com, or a poem featured on Halsey's Poetry Corner across all platforms, like whatever platform you occupy. Share it back on social media. But if you're like occupying a visual medium, such as like TikTok or YouTube or Instagram, something where a camera's in front of you, like you would probably just want to just shout out Halsey's Poetry Corner or a name of one of my pieces on the blog that you read and liked. In that instance, for the visual platforms. But other than that, the deal. Just share it back on social media. Share the link or the name of one of my poetry pieces across all platforms. Also, you can hit the like button. The like button is a heart. You can click on the little heart. And also, when you go to the link, there's a little comment box, and you can comment on my poems. So when you go to the link, if you have a Gmail account, you sign in with your Gmail account to comment on all my poetry. They're not gathering information so don't be like conspiracy theorists, like to that level. They're not gathering information. They're just like, you're leaving me a comment. You're telling me what you liked about the poem. If you're trying to reach out to me, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you're trying to reach out to me. So you want to leave me a comment on my poetry blog on blogger.com. Let me know who you are, and we can build from there. But however you choose to support me, just support that poetry blog. Share it back on the social. Halsey's Poetry Corner at www.mrhalziesblogs.com. And of course, for the Narrative Podcast, download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast, and just keep an ear to me in podcast land, wherever you get your podcast information from, as I'm about to doing more frequent uploads of the Narrative Podcast during the week. And that's about it. And any new developments I have, if I come out with some merch or, start doing visuals, I'll let you know. But until then, that's all I got going on. Check me out this weekend for a full episode of the Narrative Podcast. That's it and that's all. Thank you all for joining me. Peace, family. Sending you love, light, healing energy over everything you're doing right now today. And we'll chop it up this weekend. Thanks for checking me out today on the Narrative Podcast. I'm Halsey Allen, and I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time. I'm asking you to help me with this task by becoming a narrator. And while I'm changing the narrative on my end, one episode at a time, as a narrator, you can help me change the narrative on your end by changing the narrative one social media post at a time. Until next time, Halsey Allen in the Narrative Podcast, signing off, and it's like that.
Make it
You are now listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.